Welcome everyone. Farming is one of the most physically demanding jobs in the world. To make their work easier and increase productivity, farmers have developed many clever techniques and innovative methods. Some of these practices may seem strange at first glance, and some people might even think they make no sense. But once you see them in action, their benefits become clear. So, what are these unusual farming tricks? And are they really that effective? Let's find out. Did you know why some farmers bend papaya trees until they grow almost horizontally? At first, it may look like they are damaging the tree, but the truth is quite different. It's actually a smart technique to increase fruit production. They begin by making a small cut in the trunk of a young papaya tree, then carefully bend it to an angle of about 30 to 45 degrees from the ground and secure it with a stake. As the tree grows in this position, more nutrients are directed toward the fruit instead of the trunk. This results in larger, sweeter papayas. It also makes harvesting much easier and safer while reducing the risk of the tree breaking or falling during strong winds or storms. Some farmers even believe this traditional method can encourage male papaya trees to produce fruit. What looks like damage is actually a clever way to boost crop yields. Now take a look at these images. Why do farmers stick a toothpick into the stem of a watermelon? Does it affect the fruit's growth? In reality, this method is used to prevent watermelons from cracking. As the fruit grows during the rainy season, the roots absorb large amounts of water, increasing the pressure inside the watermelon. This pressure can cause the fruit to split open. By inserting a toothpick into the stem, farmers slightly reduce the flow of water into the fruit, lowering the internal pressure and reducing the chance of cracking. It's a simple but effective trick. Now, can you guess what these farmers are doing? This technique is commonly used by farmers in the United States and Canada to eliminate burrowing rats. Instead of digging up burrows or relying on traditional traps, they use a more modern approach. The method relies on compressed gas. Farmers fill a specialized device with methane gas, insert its nozzle into the entrance of a rodent burrow, and ignite the gas. The resulting explosion kills the rats hiding underground and often collapses their tunnels as well. Compared with conventional traps or poison, many farmers consider this method faster and more effective. What do you think? Could this approach work in rural Vietnam? In these clips, we see a clever way of feeding chickens. Instead of throwing fruits and vegetables onto the ground, farmers attach them to a vertical stake. The chickens eat the produce from the bottom first, and as each piece disappears, the ones above naturally slide down. This allows the birds to consume more of the food while reducing waste. Suspending the food also encourages chickens to focus on one piece at a time, making feeding more efficient. These next images may look unusual because the sheep appear to be wearing spiked armor. The reason is simple: it protects them from wolves. When sheep are grazing, they are vulnerable to predator attacks. To reduce losses, farmers design protective armor that covers the animals' necks and backs with sharp spikes. These spikes make it much more difficult for wolves to grab and hold onto the sheep. From a distance, the flock almost looks like a group of armored warriors. This simple solution has helped reduce livestock losses while allowing the sheep to graze freely. Now look at these pumpkins that have been sliced into long strips. At first glance, it may seem like a strange way to prepare food, but the goal is actually long-term preservation. During peak harvest season, farmers often produce more pumpkins than they can sell or consume. To avoid waste, they developed this preservation technique. The pumpkins are placed on a rotating spindle and sliced into long, thin ribbons using sharp blades. The strips are then hung under the sun to dry until they become firm. Once dried, they can be stored for a long time without spoiling. Whenever needed, the strips are simply washed, soaked until soft, and then used in stir-fries, soups, or many other dishes. Do you know why some farmers cover rice fields with a layer of paper before transplanting rice seedlings? This innovative technique is used by farmers in China. They spread biodegradable organic paper across the fields. The paper blocks sunlight from reaching weeds, preventing them from growing during the early stages. It also helps retain soil moisture by reducing evaporation. After about a month, the paper naturally decomposes and becomes organic fertilizer. By then, the rice seedlings have grown strong enough to compete with any remaining weeds. Here's another simple idea for raising chickens. Instead of building new nesting boxes, farmers recycle old tires. After cutting and mounting them on a wall, the tires become comfortable nesting spaces for hens to lay eggs. Their curved shape provides better ventilation and helps keep the eggs from rolling out. The eggs also stay much cleaner than if they were laid directly on the ground. To make cultivating soil and removing weeds more efficient, some farmers have invented a hoe with 2 blades instead of 1. With a single swing, the tool cultivates 2 rows of soil at the same time. It is especially useful in neatly organized vegetable gardens, saving both time and effort. Now look at these bunches of bananas being thrown into a canal. They aren't being discarded, they're being transported. Instead of carrying heavy banana bunches over long distances, farmers take advantage of flowing water. During harvest season, they allow water to run through the canals and the banana bunches float downstream to the collection point. It's a simple, efficient, and labor-saving transportation method. And finally, this is one of the many techniques used to grow clean, healthy vegetables. Instead of growing plants in soil, hydroponic farming cultivates them in water-filled growing beds. The roots develop in a nutrient-rich solution that supplies everything the plants need. This method reduces weeds and many common pests while protecting crops from soil contamination. It also speeds up growth and allows farmers to harvest earlier than with traditional farming. It may seem strange to see farmers stepping on peanut plants, rolling heavy objects over them, or even striking them with sticks. However, this is actually a technique used to increase yields. As the branches are pressed closer to the ground, flowering is stimulated. The flexible stems remain undamaged while their height is reduced, encouraging the plant to produce more branches, flowers, and peanut pods. What appears to be damaging the crop is actually a method of boosting production. With that, we've explored a collection of clever farming techniques from around the world. Steep mountains cover more than 80% of Japan's land area, and the country is constantly threatened by earthquakes and tsunamis. For centuries, many believed Japan was unsuitable for agriculture. Yet despite these harsh conditions, it has built an agricultural industry worth nearly $150 billion annually. Every available square meter has been transformed into a highly efficient production system based on extraordinary precision. So, how did Japan become one of the world's leading producers of premium agricultural products despite its limited farmland, scarce natural resources, and frequent natural disasters? In this video, we'll take you inside Japanese agriculture, where every farm is managed with remarkable accuracy. Water flow is carefully adjusted for every stage of plant growth, and no product leaves the farm until it meets the highest quality standards. We'll discover how Japan turned its limitations into one of its greatest agricultural strengths. Our journey begins in the Arita Mikan orchards of Wakayama Prefecture. Here, 1 kilogram of the finest Mikan mandarins can sell for as much as $70, a price comparable to ordinary Wagyu beef in Japan. Unlike the flat citrus orchards found in the United States, these trees are grown on steep mountainsides overlooking the sea. The well-drained soil forces the trees to concentrate more sugar in their fruit, while sunlight reflected from the ocean illuminates the fruit evenly, creating a sweetness that's difficult to achieve on flat land. Harvest season runs from late October through early December. Because of the steep slopes, almost all harvesting must be done by hand. Instead of collecting large quantities at once, farmers use specialized pruning shears to cut each fruit precisely at the stem. This process is repeated thousands of times every day to preserve the delicate layer of natural oils on the peel, which directly affects both storage life and market value. An experienced worker can harvest between 80 and 120 kilograms per hour, carefully evaluating each fruit's color, peel firmness, and sunlight exposure to determine when it has reached peak sweetness. Immediately after harvesting, the fruit is placed into lightweight plastic crates distributed across the hillside. The work must be fast enough to keep pace with the harvest, yet gentle enough to avoid bruising the fruit before it reaches the market. On slopes exceeding 30 degrees, the harvest is transported either by hand or by small rail systems built into the mountainside. As a result, the Arita Mikan harvest resembles a massive manual logistics operation. Once the fruit reaches the processing facility, roughly 70% of the highest quality mandarins are packed and shipped the very same day. The remaining fruit is immediately processed into juice before its natural sweetness begins to decline. Japan produces approximately 700,000 tons of Mikan mandarins every year, generating billions of dollars in revenue. After leaving the Arita Mikan orchards, we travel to Aichi Prefecture, home to one of the world's finest pears. These premium Japanese pears are considered symbols of luxury and generate nearly $10 billion annually. Their journey begins in March and April, when growers carefully train the branches onto low steel trellises to ensure every blossom receives equal sunlight. During flowering, farmers transfer pollen between compatible varieties using soft brushes instead of relying entirely on bees. 7 to 10 days after fruit begins to develop, transparent covers are stretched over the trees to stabilize temperature and protect the delicate skin from seasonal rain. Air-assisted mist sprayers then move through the orchard, applying a protective coating evenly across every part of each tree. At harvest time, every pear is clipped with curved shears and immediately placed into soft cloth bags. For special orders, some growers gently carve the customer's name into the young green fruit. Over the next 30 to 40 days, the engraving expands as the pear grows, creating a unique, natural signature on the skin. Each pear is then carefully inspected once more before being traced to its origin and packaged according to strict quality standards. Sweet potatoes generate more than $500 million in annual revenue for Japan. They have long been more than just another crop. During the Edo period, sweet potatoes helped save millions of Japanese people from famine whenever rice harvests failed. In the past, harvesting was done entirely by hand in narrow fields. Today, however, many farms have entered the era of mechanized harvesting. Unlike the massive harvesting equipment used in the United States, which can process 20 to 30 tons per hour, many regions in Japan rely on compact single-row harvesters designed for narrow beds, measuring only 70 to 90 centimeters wide. These machines gently lift thin layers of soil before transferring the sweet potatoes onto conveyor belts that separate the soil while minimizing impacts that could damage their delicate skins. This perfectly reflects the philosophy of Japanese agriculture, which prioritizes the quality and appearance of every individual crop over maximizing production volume. After harvesting, the sweet potatoes pass through multi-stage rotating washing systems that remove soil while preserving the natural skin. The crop is then sorted for different uses, including starch production, dried sweet potato slices, or fermentation into imo shochu, a traditional Japanese spirit with a history of more than 300 years. Here's another surprising fact. More than 90% of the wasabi consumed worldwide isn't real wasabi. Instead, it's usually a mixture of horseradish, mustard, and green coloring. The reason is simple. Cultivating authentic wasabi is one of the most difficult commercial crops in the world. Real wasabi does not grow in ordinary soil. Instead, it requires cold, fast-flowing water with temperatures between 8 and 15 degrees Celsius, 46-59 degrees Fahrenheit. Even a slight rise in temperature or a reduction in water flow can destroy an entire crop by causing root rot and oxygen deficiency. This is why Japan is one of the few countries capable of producing high-quality commercial wasabi. In Shizuoka Prefecture, Japan's most famous wasabi-growing region, the entire cultivation system depends on mountain streams fed by rainwater and melted snow that have filtered through layers of rock for years. However, crystal clear water alone isn't enough. The entire field functions as a carefully engineered irrigation system. Each seedling is planted at precise intervals in gravel beds so that water and oxygen continuously circulate around the roots. Wasabi requires 18 to 24 months to reach maturity. At harvest time, farmers step into the icy water and carefully remove each rhizome by hand without damaging its delicate structure. After cleaning and drying, authentic wasabi must be used quickly because its distinctive aroma and pungent compounds begin fading almost immediately after it is grated. For this reason, genuine wasabi is never prepared in advance. Instead, it is freshly grated into a smooth paste that reaches its peak aroma during the first 10 to 15 minutes. The demanding cultivation process, long growing period, and extremely short flavor lifespan are the reasons authentic wasabi can sell for around $200 per kilogram. Here's another fact that surprises many people. Although soybeans are one of the foundations of the Japanese diet, more than 90% of Japan's soybean supply is imported. This is because domestic farming follows strict quality standards that are not suitable for large-scale mass production. Unlike the vast soybean farms of the United States, Australia, and Brazil, which focus on maximizing output, Japanese soybeans are grown on small farms that often cover only a few hectares. Every harvest is monitored individually from the moment it is collected. Harvesting machines operate relatively slowly, but with exceptional precision. Their blades cut the stalks close to the ground before feeding the entire plant into the threshing chamber, where the beans are separated within seconds. A powerful stream of air immediately removes impurities before the beans are transferred into storage. Among all harvested batches, only a very small portion is selected for producing natto, Japan's famous fermented soybean dish. The beans are first washed in flowing water and softened with pressurized steam. While still hot, they are coated with a thin layer of Bacillus subtilis bacteria, which immediately begins the fermentation process inside carefully temperature-controlled rooms. As the bacteria break down the proteins, they produce polyglutamic acid, the substance responsible for natto's famous sticky strands. After about 24 hours, the product is removed while still slightly warm, then divided into portions and carefully packaged. For natto lovers, its rich umami flavor is what makes it truly unforgettable. Few people realize that during the late 19th century, enormous schools of herring once filled Japan's coastal waters so densely that they darkened the sea. Within only a few decades, however, this spectacular phenomenon almost disappeared because of overfishing. What made this fish so valuable that it drove fishermen to harvest it so aggressively? The answer lies in the fishing season, which usually lasts from February through April. During this period, massive schools of herring gather near the coastline. Ironically, the primary target wasn't the meat, it was the fish roe used to produce kazunoko, a luxury delicacy that can sell for around $150 per kilogram. To catch them, fishermen surround the schools with enormous circular purse seines that close underneath like a giant bag. Within 15 to 30 minutes, a single operation can capture several tons of fish. Once the catch reaches the harbor, the fish are unloaded directly onto automated sorting lines, where females carrying roe are separated from the rest. Next comes an even more delicate process. Using thin, precise blades, workers carefully open each fish and remove the egg sacs without damaging them. Each female may carry 20,000 to 30,000 eggs, which are the true source of the fish's commercial value. After washing and curing with salt, the roe develops its distinctive golden color. It is then gently pressed, cut into uniform portions, and packaged for premium dishes such as kazunoko, often served alongside sashimi. Every bite combines a satisfying crunch with a rich, savory flavor. Our next destination takes us back to the sea to discover yellowtail, one of Japan's most prized sashimi fish. This industry generates nearly $4 billion in annual revenue. Unlike tuna, mackerel, and herring, which are mostly caught in the open ocean, the majority of yellowtail is now raised in offshore sea cages. The reason isn't that fishermen cannot catch wild yellowtail. Instead, aquaculture allows producers to control fat content, meat texture, and overall quality much more precisely. Between 24 and 48 hours before harvest, the fish are fed less food, so their digestive systems empty completely, helping preserve the quality of the meat. When harvesting begins, The nets are gradually tightened until the school is concentrated within an area of only 20 to 30 square meters. The water suddenly erupts with thousands of powerful movements as the fish are carefully lifted using large nets or gentle suction systems designed to minimize physical damage. Once removed from the cages, processing follows two different paths. For industrial production, speed is the priority. The fish are filleted, deboned, vacuum-packed, or processed into ready-to-eat products as efficiently as possible. Sashimi-grade fish, however, receive completely different treatment. Every step is performed slowly and with extraordinary precision. Each fish is processed immediately, and every knife stroke follows the natural direction of the muscle fibers to preserve texture and distribute fat evenly. Temperature, humidity, and even the amount of time the flesh is exposed to air are carefully monitored. Here, the fish is treated not as a raw ingredient, but as a handcrafted product reflecting exceptional craftsmanship. Next, we travel to the cold waters off the Sannon coast, home to the famous Matsuba snow crab. Although it is sometimes much smaller than the giant king crab, it is prized for its delicate texture and natural sweetness, making it one of the finest ingredients in premium sushi. From November through March, fishing reaches its peak as colder waters bring the crabs to their best condition in terms of flavor and energy reserves. At depths of around 400 meters, fishermen deploy specialized bottom traps, now considered the preferred harvesting method. These traps allow for highly selective catches while minimizing damage to the crabs, helping preserve their perfect appearance for luxury seafood markets. Japanese fishermen never leave these traps underwater for long periods. Their highest priority is freshness. Delaying retrieval not only reduces quality, but can also cause the crabs to die before reaching port, dramatically lowering their value at auction, where even the smallest detail can influence the final selling price. Our final stop introduces another symbol of resilience in Japanese culinary tradition. It is Aramaki sake, salt-cured salmon, considered one of Japan's traditional delicacies. In Japan's coastal regions, preparing this specialty is a meticulous process that takes about 5 weeks to complete. Production of Aramaki sake begins in late autumn, when sockeye salmon migrate upstream into the rivers of Niigata and Hokkaido. At this stage, the fish have reached their ideal fat content and size in preparation for spawning. To preserve the quality of the meat, skilled craftsmen catch the salmon using traditional handline fishing methods. This minimizes damage to the scales and prevents bruising that could affect the flesh. Immediately after the catch, the fish are washed in cold water and quickly gutted. This essential step removes enzymes and microorganisms that could spoil the meat from the inside. Everything is done as rapidly as possible to preserve maximum freshness before the most important stage begins dry salting. During the dry salting process, experienced workers carefully coat the entire fish with coarse salt, paying special attention to the belly and head to ensure the salt penetrates evenly without becoming excessive. Too much salt would damage the texture and reduce the tenderness of the meat. The fish are then stacked inside large wooden vats. After about 5 days, they move on to the stage that gives Aramaki sake its distinctive character, air drying. The fish are first washed to remove excess salt and the outer surface layer. Each salmon is then tied by the tail and hung upside down. This method allows excess moisture and fat to drain away while concentrating nutrients in the head and belly, the most prized parts of the fish. You may notice small bamboo sticks placed inside the body cavity. These are not decorative. They act as spacers, keeping the fish open so that cool, dry air can circulate evenly throughout the interior, ensuring uniform drying from both the inside and outside. After approximately 4 weeks, A protective dry outer layer forms while the inside retains just the right amount of moisture, preventing the meat from becoming overly dry. At this point, all it takes is a thin slice, lightly grilled to reveal the rich umami flavor and firm texture that fresh salmon simply cannot provide. To taste this handcrafted delicacy, you may pay around $150 for a single Aramaki sake salmon, 3 to 4 times the price of commercially salted salmon. What makes it so valuable is that nearly every step of the process is performed entirely by hand, reflecting the remarkable precision of Japanese craftsmanship. Another famous Japanese specialty comes from Berkshire pigs, also known in Japan as kurobuta. These pigs are sometimes called the Wagyu of pork. The breed first arrived in Japan during the 19th century as a diplomatic gift from the British royal family. Although its name literally means black pig, a purebred Berkshire must display 6 distinctive white markings, 1 on each leg, 1 on the snout, and 1 on the tip of the tail. These markings are considered proof of the breed's purity and genetic quality. One of the defining characteristics of Berkshire pigs is their slow growth. While commercial pigs usually reach market weight in about 6 months, Berkshire pigs require nearly 8 months to mature. Once their skeletal development is complete, the animals begin storing fat within the muscle fibers instead of beneath the skin. During this period, they are fed a carefully balanced diet rich in grains, protein, and sweet potatoes. This special diet gives the fat its bright white color, delicate sweetness, and low melting point. As a result, the fat melts almost instantly when it touches the tongue. However, the true secret behind Berkshire pork lies not only in its diet, but also in its abundant intramuscular marbling and naturally higher pH level. These qualities help the meat retain moisture throughout cooking. The result is pork that remains pink, juicy, and exceptionally tender even after being cooked. Its short muscle fibers also contribute to its remarkably soft texture. Berkshire pork delivers a luxurious eating experience, often compared to premium beef. However, the breed reproduces 20 to 30% less efficiently than commercial pigs. Combined with strict breeding standards and its long growing period, production naturally remains limited. For this reason, Berkshire pork is rarely found in ordinary supermarkets. Instead, it is reserved for fine dining restaurants and special occasions, where it is served as premium pork steaks or luxurious tonkatsu. Some diners are willing to pay hundreds of dollars for the opportunity to taste this royal breed. Finally, we arrive at one of the world's most luxurious fruits, the Yubari King melon. This extraordinary melon once set a record at auction, where a pear sold for approximately 2 million yen, making it one of the most expensive melons ever sold. The Yubari King melon has become one of the world's most expensive fruits. At one famous auction, a pear sold for nearly 2 million yen. This extraordinary variety was developed after the bold decision by the city of Yubari to reinvent itself following the collapse of its coal mining industry. During winters, when temperatures often fall below 20 degrees Celsius, 4 degrees Fahrenheit, every melon is grown inside carefully controlled greenhouses where temperature and humidity are monitored with exceptional precision. From the very beginning, each plant receives individual attention before being transplanted into larger growing beds equipped with drip irrigation systems that maintain ideal growing conditions. The fruit takes about 50 days to mature. Throughout this period, farmers gently massage each melon by hand every day. Although this practice seems unusual, The gentle stress encourages the rind to develop its famous, evenly distributed net-like pattern. As tiny cracks form, the plant releases sap that hardens and creates the thick raised webbing that makes Yubari King melons instantly recognizable. Farmers also tap each melon lightly, listening for a deep, mellow sound that indicates perfect ripeness and dense, juicy flesh. Only perfectly round melons with a flawless net pattern and exceptionally high sugar content are selected. Each fruit is harvested with a long, T-shaped stem, which has become the first visual sign of superior quality and meticulous care. If the Yubari King is considered the king of summer, then air-dried persimmons are among Japan's greatest treasures of winter. This industry generates hundreds of millions of dollars each year, particularly in cold, dry regions such as Fukushima and Nagano. As temperatures begin to fall, the persimmons are harvested entirely by hand. Only large, firm fruits with intact T-shaped stems are selected, making them easier to hang evenly during the drying process. Japan harvests more than 200,000 tons of fresh persimmons every year. After harvesting, every fruit is carefully peeled and briefly dipped in hot water to sanitize the surface before being tied and hung. The persimmons are suspended in well-ventilated areas exposed to cool air while being protected from rain. As a result, production quality depends heavily on weather conditions. After about a week, once the outer skin begins to firm up, skilled craftsmen gently massage every fruit each day. This redistributes the sugars, softens the flesh, and encourages the formation of the natural white sugar bloom that appears on the surface. After 4 to 6 weeks, the inside develops a rich jam-like texture with a deep reddish-brown color and remarkable sweetness. Because of the intensive manual labor and the added value created during processing, a single dried persimmon can sell for up to $15. In the United States, common carp are often viewed as an invasive species that disrupts river ecosystems. In China, however, carp are one of the pillars of freshwater aquaculture. The industry generates more than $30 billion annually and provides a livelihood for millions of families. Production begins in modern hatcheries, where breeding stock is carefully selected and genetically monitored. The young fish are then transferred to earthen ponds, artificial lakes, or flooded rice fields that function like natural protein-producing factories. Once the fish reach market size, harvesting begins in a carefully coordinated process. The water level is gradually lowered to reduce the swimming area and guide the fish toward a central collection zone. Large nets are then slowly tightened until thousands of silver fish gather in one location. Within hours, the fish are lifted from the water and transported to shore for sorting. In northern China, where ponds freeze during winter, farmers must cut openings through the ice or operate aeration systems to prevent oxygen shortages. Although production slows during colder seasons, fish care continues throughout the year. China is also home to one of the ocean's strangest creatures, the sea cucumber. It has no brain, no bones, and even breathes through its rear opening. Despite its unusual anatomy, sea cucumber supports a seafood and pharmaceutical industry worth nearly $20 billion annually. For decades, harvesting depended entirely on divers descending into cold waters to search for them on the ocean floor. Every dive was a balance between profit and human endurance. Today, many fishing vessels slowly drag specialized nets across sandy seabeds. As soon as the nets are retrieved, the catch is sorted, washed with seawater, and immediately chilled to preserve freshness. The sea cucumbers are then transported to processing facilities. Few people realize that 10 kilograms of fresh sea cucumber produce only about 1 kilogram after cleaning and drying. This dramatic loss in weight is one of the main reasons behind its exceptionally high price. Small freshwater crayfish were once sea As night falls, the ducks return to their shelters to rest. Once they reach the proper weight, the transportation stage begins one of the most challenging parts of the entire operation. Moving thousands of ducks at once is no easy task. They are easily startled, can slip, or scatter in different directions. To solve this problem, farmers build narrow passageways with gently sloping platforms that work almost like elevators for the birds. These specially designed lanes guide the flock calmly, reducing stress and minimizing injuries and losses. After 5 to 6 months, the mature ducks are separated according to their purpose. Female ducks enter the egg-laying cycle, producing around 200 to 250 eggs per year, while meat ducks move into the final fattening stage. This carefully controlled production process gives the meat its thick skin, ideal fat distribution, and firm texture, the qualities that create the famous crispy golden skin and tender meat of Peking duck, a dish that has appeared on the tables of Chinese emperors for more than 600 years. After leaving the duck farms, we arrive at China's frog farms, where hundreds of thousands of tons are produced every year. What was once a creature associated with rural ponds has become the foundation of a multi-billion-dollar aquaculture industry. The process begins in modern breeding ponds with a biological event known as amplexus, during which the male grasps the female's back while fertilizing the eggs externally in the water. Within days, thousands of eggs hatch into tadpoles. The tadpoles are raised in carefully controlled systems where the water temperature is maintained between 26 and 30 degrees Celsius, 79-86 degrees Fahrenheit, with balanced pH levels and a calm environment to minimize stress. As they continue developing, the young frogs are transferred to shallow ponds with gently flowing water that provides oxygen while encouraging their natural hunting instincts. High-protein feed accelerates their growth, while stocking density is carefully managed to reduce aggression and competition. The water is replaced regularly because even small amounts of accumulated waste can disrupt the entire system. As the frogs mature, they are moved into larger outdoor ponds equipped with specialized net systems that maintain natural water circulation. When harvest time arrives, the water level is gradually lowered, allowing soft nets to gently guide the frogs toward collection areas without forcing or injuring them. It may be hard to imagine that some of the world's softest and most luxurious fabrics begin with a tiny creature that moves slowly and appears quite ordinary. Yet this is the secret behind Chinese silk. The humble silkworm, quietly feeding on mulberry leaves, supports a global industry worth more than $16 billion annually. What was once a household activity in rural villages has evolved into massive industrial facilities. Millions of silkworms rest on stacked trays and feed exclusively on carefully preserved mulberry leaves. Throughout their lives, they never drink water directly. Because they grow so rapidly, they molt several times as they mature. When a silkworm's body becomes translucent and its appetite begins to slow, it is placed onto cocoon frames. Each worm selects its own position before moving its head in a figure-8 pattern, while spinning a single silk filament that can exceed 1,000 meters in length. Within 2 to 3 days, the cocoon is complete. Inside, the pupa quietly transforms over the next 7 to 10 days in one of nature's most remarkable biological processes. To preserve the silk filament intact, the cocoons are dried with heat before the moth can emerge. They are then soaked in hot water to soften the natural binding proteins. Reeling machines unwind dozens of these delicate filaments simultaneously, combining them into a single, continuous thread that stretches for kilometers. The silk is then washed, polished, and wound onto reels, transforming a tiny cocoon into one of the world's finest luxury textiles. Although scorpions have long been symbols of danger and venom in ancient stories, today they are considered valuable commodities. In medical markets, scorpions can sell for up to $3,000 per kilogram. Commercial scorpion farming follows one essential principle: individual separation. During their early development, or immediately after molting, each scorpion is raised alone in a small container. This prevents cannibalism while allowing farmers to monitor growth more easily. Once the scorpions reach a stable size, they are transferred into communal rearing systems consisting of large trays, concrete enclosures, or plastic containers filled with stacked egg cartons that provide hundreds of hiding places. Their diet is carefully measured, consisting mainly of locusts, crickets, and other small insects fed 2 or 3 times each week. Thanks to their slow metabolism, scorpions can survive long periods without food. After 6 to 12 months, they are collected using specialized tools and transported to facilities that produce medical products, venom for scientific research, or specialty foods. In the past, mushroom farming in many countries depended almost entirely on seasonal weather conditions. In China, however, modern automation has transformed the entire industry. Today, advanced systems control every stage of production, from temperature and humidity to the tiny droplets of morning moisture that develop inside the growing rooms. The industry generates more than $7 billion annually. Harvesting methods vary depending on the size of the farm and the mushroom variety, but the goal remains the same: maximize speed, improve precision, and maintain consistent quality on small and medium-sized farms. On small and medium-sized farms, hand harvesting still plays a vital role. Workers gently twist each mushroom at its base to separate it from the growing medium without damaging either the cap or the stem. The roots are then carefully trimmed, and the mushrooms are placed directly into trays. This method allows farmers to select mushrooms at the perfect stage of maturity while preserving the flawless appearance required for premium varieties. On large commercial farms, however, specialized harvesting machines operate like fully enclosed production lines. Precision blades cut each mushroom cleanly at its base before conveyor belts carry the harvest past sensors that evaluate size, shape, and overall quality prior to automated packaging. At the most advanced facilities, robots perform the entire process. They carefully pick each mushroom, trim the stems, sort the harvest, and operate around the clock, producing enormous quantities with remarkable consistency. As desertification expands and water becomes an increasingly valuable resource, Chinese agriculture has been forced to rethink its choice of crops. With its deep root system and relatively low water requirements, sunflower has become a strategic crop in regions such as Inner Mongolia, Gansu, and Xinjiang. where dry conditions make many other crops difficult to cultivate. From late June through July, these vast fields turn brilliant shades of gold, but the crop's true value begins only after the flowering season ends. By September and October, the heavy flower heads bend downward, signaling that the seeds have fully matured and accumulated their oil. At this point, specialized harvesters enter the fields. They cut the flower heads from the stalks, separate and clean the seeds, and collect them directly into storage containers. Thanks to the integration of modern machinery, harvesting is completed with exceptional efficiency while keeping losses to an absolute minimum. Today, sunflowers in China are no longer admired only for their beauty. They have become one of the country's major sources of vegetable oil and an important pillar of agricultural stability in water-scarce regions. Yet Chinese agriculture is not driven solely by speed and large-scale production. Some products derive their value from patience and precision. One of the best examples is the honey peach, which is still cultivated largely through traditional methods. Even so, the industry generates around $15 billion annually, proving that value does not always come from producing the greatest quantity, but from delivering the highest quality. Unlike many peach varieties that can be harvested mechanically or collected in bulk, honey peaches are picked entirely by hand. Their exceptionally soft flesh, high water content, and delicate skin make mechanical harvesting impossible. During harvest, workers never twist or pull the fruit. Instead, they cradle each peach gently in the palm of the hand and carefully move the stem until it naturally separates from the branch. Every peach is immediately placed onto soft cushions because even the slightest pressure or accidental drop can destroy its commercial value. In return, consumers receive an incredibly sweet, juicy fruit with a delicate fragrance that is available for only a short time each summer. Every summer, Chinese hot pot becomes much more than just a meal. It is a social tradition. The essential ingredient behind its signature flavor is chili pepper. With an annual production approaching 16 million tons, representing nearly 45% of global output, China not only consumes enormous quantities of spicy food, but also helps shape spicy cuisine around the world. Few people realize the hard work behind this industry. For many years, harvesting extremely hot chili peppers by hand exposed workers to burning eyes, irritated skin, and respiratory discomfort. It also resulted in lower productivity and heavy dependence on seasonal labor. To solve these problems, large-scale mechanized harvesting became essential. In major agricultural regions such as Xinjiang and Gansu, specialized chili harvesters now function like mobile production lines. They cut the plants at their base, collect them, separate the peppers using vibration and air suction systems, and transfer the harvested fruit directly into storage containers without human contact. This technology has dramatically increased productivity, reduced health risks for workers, and produced a more consistent crop, better suited for food processing and export. It was far more than simply speeding up the harvest. It marked a strategic transformation that helped establish China as one of the world's dominant powers in the global chili pepper in